Great, great. So I'm so happy to connect with you and like actually meet you. I'm not gonna lie, I looked over your group and your website. It's quite an incredible. We fit you, correct?
Yep.
You've been able to create something quite impressive.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure how. Honest to,
Can I jot down notes of like,
yeah, honest to God, I mean, it's sort of been somewhat by happenstance and stumbling and bumbling my way through things.
yeah.
I've always had an idea in mind, an overall vision that exercise was not enough for the whole puzzle. And I've been trying to bring in other pieces to the puzzle. So like when I talk to a person who comes to me and they say, any complaint, could be mental, could be physical, any complaint. I have a checklist of 5 things. Are you sleeping? Are you drinking water? Are you getting 5 to 7 servings of fruits and vegetables a day? Are you getting good sources of protein and fat? Are you exercising? Did I say that one or did I miss one?
Not yet. Not yet.
And the last one is fun. Are you having fun?
Yes, yes.
And I feel that if you are addressing those 5 things in your life, if you are actively working towards those 5 things, whatever's wrong with you, it is time for you to see a doctor.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And if you're not doing those 5 things, you're trying to get there artificially. And what happens is it's a Jenga game and you can pull a block over here, but you're going to have to pull a block over there. And it's a constant balancing act and your body does it automatically if you give it those 5 things.
Yes. And this is the hard part that you encounter and I encounter in different ways. It's well, how the heck do I do that? And it's different. Of course, there are some similarities to your point about there are these 5 things you need to do. We all should be doing those things, but the how to is so different from person to different jobs, different schedule, different number of kids, different amount of help, different amount of social support. So many different things. So many different things.
Yeah. And sometimes people will come to you and they'll say, and they give you excuses. And sometimes I listen to those excuses and I go, yeah, that's a pretty good excuse. I'm not sure I could do what I'm asking them to do right now with everything going on in their lives and all of the baggage and bull that they're carrying. So it then becomes, I'm a problem solver. And so where I go to is then how do we solve that problem? So like when I can't answer the question on nutrition, my nutrition background is 1 class in college and a lot of reading. So we'll talk about, 5 to 7 servings of fruits and vegetables. I talk about, good sources of protein, counting your calories, getting a baseline, knowing what you're doing on a daily basis. And am I we did a meeting last night and, we had a few new people and I always start out with, well, we really do need to find out how many calories you're eating on a daily basis. And they're like, I hate calorie counting. I'm like, yeah, so does everybody else. But the reason we hate it is because it reveals something that's very uncomfortable. And that is the truth, that the reason I look and feel the way I look and feel is the choices that I'm making.
Oh God, yes. And it's a hard topic to confront because food is such a safe place. It's a place that makes you feel so good.
Yeah.
And if you're like, I want to make this change, but I'm going to take away this nice warm blanket from you.
Yeah.
And it's going to be really awkward because I also want you to put in this work behind it. And it is a very uncomfortable process at becoming healthy, which is supposed to be a state of mind, body, and spirit, right? That is supposed to be blissful, wonderful. And there are a lot of benefits. There is less stress. You are
Right.
able to move around easier. But the journey to get to being, healthier is a hard one. It involves so many different habit changes, so
Mhm.
many little adjustments, trial and error, trial and error.
Yeah.
You know?
Tell me about your practice.
Yeah.
Because I looked you up, and you have a beautiful website, but I'm trying to understand what you do.
Sure. So we offer evidence-based approaches, meaning treatments that work, that help most people to help with their mental health concerns. And we also have a coaching side, a health coaching side, but we also use evidence-based approaches, meaning treatments that work to help encourage people to make healthier lifestyle changes, to create healthier habits around certain key areas
Okay.
that can make them healthier. So there are two distinct areas, and it's that connection between our body and our mind. We
Okay.
can treat things of anxiety and depression successfully. We've helped a lot of different people. But
Mhm.
there's the other piece of, to your point, right? Like, great, you're feeling better with your anxiety, but you're talking about having a difficult time moving around on the floor with your grandchildren.
Mhm.
Going on there.
Mhm.
That's the body part. What can we do to make you physically healthier, to give you more quality of life? Right? So we
Uh-huh.
focus on that mind-body connection ultimately.
So tell me a little bit about the process to get there.
So again, different for everyone. Some people just need therapy. Some
Mhm.
people just need coaching, and some people
Mhm.
need a bit of a combination of both.
Sure.
So the process to get there is, first and foremost, if you have a mental health concern,
Mhm.
you need to take care of that
Mhm.
before diving into that physical component. I'm sure you've seen that a million
Sure.
times,
Sure.
right?
Or you're halfway in it, and it's coming up, and now you got to deal with it.
Yes, yes.
So,
Yeah. And this is why we use that evidence-based approach on the coaching side. We do use screeners to really truly look at, are you showing signs that maybe you should be seeing a therapist? Because we want
mhm.
you cared for on the inside out.
So what would some of those signs be like?
So if someone is depressed, for
Uh-huh.
example, one of the major ways that they present is going to be obviously low mood. Everyone thinks low mood, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
But it can be low mood and or loss of interest, meaning someone can be depressed and not feel sad, but
Mhm.
for some reason don't
Sure.
have interest in activities they previously loved,
Gotcha.
right?
Mhm.
Or loss of motivation, things that are
Okay.
fatigue, unstoppable worry. That'd be more on the anxiety level. On the other side are the eating patterns,
Okay.
the type of eating
Okay.
patterns.
So if we're dealing with mostly a clientele that, has your basic normal bullshit that they carry around with them,
Yeah.
that sort of things, and we're not dealing with borderline personalities, we're just dealing with people who, I last night I had a meeting with them, and I tried to, what did they hope to get from you? I've been talking about you because I'm excited.
Thank you.
And one of them asked, and it's sort of a question that I get all the time, and it's what is okay for me to weigh, look, size, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? So it's
yeah.
this question of and she's an engineer type, and she's like, I just want the metric and blah, blah, blah. And I know where she's going. She's looking at like, what percentage of body fat should I be? What weight should I be? All these things. And then part of it too is, my typical response is, what you're asking me is, when will you be happy with the way you look?
Yes, yes, yes,
And
yes.
I don't know that I have the answer to that question. And I usually throw it right back at them and go, when were you happy? And then we got into this conversation where I told a story. I said, look, my sister Debbie tells a story about, and my sister struggles with weight.
Yeah.
And she looked back at an old photograph of herself when she was 23. And she hated the way she looked then. And now she's much heavier, but is more secure, is a little bit more fully formed, kind of likes herself better.
Yeah.
And, but she doesn't like what she sees in the mirror. You know what I mean? And this
Yes.
is a very, very common theme
It
that
is.
I'm dealing with. And I don't have all of the answers, and I'm not sure how to help people. And I'm wondering, how could we
Oh, God.
integrate what you do? What
Oh,
portion of
God.
what you do would be a way to kind of help address that? And it's
Yeah.
it's fairly, I would say that it's such a, it's like kind of like, what is it when they call you on the spectrum? It's like
Sick or
everybody's got a little bit of it, but some
yeah,
more
yeah,
than others. And,
yeah.
I'm not even sure if that's accurate.
No,
This is just,
I love this because what you're touching on is, and men are actually more and more actually experiencing this as society, because they're actually starting to feel that pressure that women, it's been focused more so on women,
right.
but society or even our family or our family
Mhm.
has really focused on defining a woman's worth, her entire worth, her entire being, and what her body looks like. So women are going to hyper focus on every little thing, every little wrinkle,
Yeah.
every little thing. And if it changes as we all age, we're all aging at the same time. Those wrinkles, those little things, are the skin, your skin doesn't look the same. And what I want to challenge women to recognize, men and women, just to recognize you are more than your body. You are more than your weight. You are actually beautiful, defined by how you're caring for yourself, how you're caring for others, how you're defining your worth. Because is
Mhm.
it our body? Do you mean worth? Is the word you should be looking for is, how am I defining my worth?
Mhm.
I think that women and men, people, non-binary, transgender, whatever you are, people need to define their worth based on how they are treating others and their bodies, because
Mhm.
our bodies are vessels that allow us to care for others. And if
Mhm.
someone's really struggling with how their body is shaped, I want to transition a little bit further away from that. I want
Mhm.
to, have those conversations and be able to help someone grow,
Mhm.
look at that part they don't like, and learn how to still accept it. Acceptance does not mean liking. It
Mhm.
doesn't mean that they have to automatically pretend like they love cellulite,
Right.
right? You
Right.
don't have to pretend, but that's a part of you. There's
Right.
only so much most of us can do about that, right?
Well, that's sort of a self-defeating. So they're not going to want to hear that from me. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
that's a whole different conversation, because
sure, sure.
part of what I'm doing is I'm capitalizing a little bit on some of that, but I want to do it in a responsible manner
Of
that
course.
provides them a little of both. And that's where, we try to focus in on the successes and things like that. So when you do, what kind of exercises do you do
Hmm.
with self-worth, that, or is it workshops, things like that? How does that work? Because
I would
that's
love to.
essentially,
Yes.
because that's
I
essentially what you're talking about,
Yes,
right?
yes. And that's actually the number, self-love. So I
Okay.
think self-love is the topic, and it's something that we talk about. It's like the number one rule is,
Mm-hmm.
really, if you want to become healthier, you need to first recognize that you are worthy of love, no matter what
Mm-hmm.
you have done or what others have done to you. You are worthy of love and you're worthy of being healthier.
Mm-hmm.
And that starts with recognizing that you are worthy of love, and you have to understand even what that means. So that can come in many forms. That can come in the form of, you need to read this book, listen to this podcast, consider this TED Talk, consider, is there a positive affirmations you can tell yourself, realistic positive affirmations. Again, I'm not in the business of getting people to lie to themselves.
Right.
I'm in the business of getting you to recognize your worth.
Okay.
And a part of that is learning how to talk to someone you recognize worth in.
Mm-hmm.
It's doing the opposite. If you feel like you're not worthy of this exercise, or you're not capable of accomplishing it, do it anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Do something anyways. And that's going to be, again, different person by person, what their needs are going to be for that, if they have any habits created. And if it's too loud of a voice, that could be depression, right?
Sure. Okay.
That depression, instead of someone's just like, I practice these positive affirmations, I'm reading this, I'm trying, and there's a disconnect. I'm not able to do it. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
you should be a therapist. That's great. Let's get you to someone that can help you really learn how to change that thinking.
Okay. So what kind of things so a lot of what I do, if you looked at my social media, is a lot of what I'm doing is, I took a class on how to write copy. And what they taught you is basically how to get into people's heads.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at my copy, you know what I'm doing. I'm trying to get into people's heads. I'll talk about like self-love, self-care. These are things. And then what I'll try to do is add value on the site, where I will give maybe a Jordan Peterson talk that, talks about something like that, or maybe there's just, who knows, maybe it could be a haiku. I don't even know. It's just, there'll be usually something. I tend to pull a lot of stuff out from like psychocybernetics, or just like meditations, empowering meditation type stuff. And I'll put that stuff up there so that they'll kind of go to it, so that they can find where they need to work. Because what I'm hearing from you is, we're talking here, you and me, and we're talking about kind of this avatar of a client, and how you help that avatar. And that's perfectly appropriate. But what I'd like to be able to do is sort of introduce you to my team of people, and provide them some sort of value, such as, hey, check this out. This was a meditation that I got from Dr. Cassandra, or something like that. And we start putting you in front of them little by little, gradually. Maybe you do a post. I don't know. Did you ever look at any of sometimes I'll do a Facebook post where I just talk about shit.
Yeah.
Okay. So something like that maybe that can kind of push on some of those buttons, like what we're trying to do is find problems that people may or may not be aware that they have. Make them come to you for help.
For sure. Absolutely. And we can, we literally can create something for people to take, like if it's like a PDF or whatever.
It doesn't even have to be created new.
I'm
sort of looking for, tell me about your coaching. Do you do any like group coaching? Do you have any groups?
We don't have any group coaching at this time. And that's what I think for us, we really want to focus in on the individual.
Sure.
Definitely in the future, I'd love to create something that, very much follows a curriculum behind what we have created here. And by the way, and I'm talking about we for a reason, I have an incredible team of people. I really do. So this incredible team of therapists, interns, students. I'm going to a fantastic coach who has a master's degree in exercise physiology. Like this team, like I would love to be able to